on the Juliet. So I was promptly called out on the pre-show after I called EKC a damage team. My bad, they're not a damage team, they're a KO team, and they're looking to replicate it here.
Yeah, a big factor here is that Soren era goalie, right? In the past, we saw a lot of that era double brawler on Night Market in the brief period of time right before we went to Snake Draft and No Mirrors that ruled the world in the Africa Invitational. Right now, though, I'm a little bit concerned because Taiko Temple is not exactly Night Market, and of course, Leo Leon on the X, it's going to be a nightmare if he can get up close.
Certainly the case, and with a first set X, here we go, have to say it, X is in the game, Zaya, so the awakenings will come into time, and you might not see as much of the pressure, but to your point, if Leo starts to scale up and just bully Soren around, it could spell problems for this composition, especially with very limited core control and mobility. But nxzd, beautiful play off of the center drum, will put the first goal in for EKC.
And a little bit of an uncharacteristic goal against Return to Form as well. Moffin's usually a robot, right? Who, no matter how you try to mix him up, if it's within the range of abilities, it will be a save. But that time, nxzd getting just enough mix on the mix-up to get it through here. But Leo Leon on the other end, putting on the pressure, forcing out a defensive flip here, but getting taken out is Leo, and a barrier falls as well to the core speed. It's looking pretty good for EKC in these early points. Despite saying they're not a damage team, they're putting on the damage right now.
Putting on the threat, and notably with the prize fighter start, getting those early KOs, the first few in the set, will be absolutely massive. nxzd already on all three prize fighter stacks. Meanwhile, both Hungry Boy and Leo Leon have had their stack taken away, meaning they effectively do not have a starter awakening in our first set, at least not until they can find a KO for themselves. Berrybag taken pretty low here. Does have the siphoning one, so we'll have just a little bit of healing, but if Leo Leon's able to wait around for those cooldowns to come back online, could be seeing a potential KO there. Good evade from Miri. And it looks like that KO will not come through, meaning, once again, 2 starter awakenings out of 3 are effectively meaningless at the moment. Energy burst, both used for EKC. Leo Leon taken off the pitch once more. That's going to be a 4th prize fighter stack for nxzd. Might be looking for yet another KO. There it is, coming through. Double power play opportunity here. Still can't find this last barrier is EKC. Soren not able to move up very far forward at all. And able to find the gap there through the bottom side. nxzd, another KO. There's the Juliet that feels like we've been missing. nxzd hasn't played this character a lot, but every time he's played it, he looks incredibly solid on it so far this season. And despite the fact that we're outside of where the brawler patch got toned down a little bit in terms of damage, but this Juliet character has remained strong virtually all season. Oni's blade sends a core an inopportune direction. Leo Leon can't capitalize, but Hungry Boy is there on the Cybersway.
When I was watching that point, there was only one player I was watching. It was Moffin Koei. After the first point, he's all warmed up. He is in robot mode. He is not letting anything go past him. That barrier survived so many good EKC attempts, and those were good attempts. Like, those were NASL level attempts at the barrier, and this one is as well. But Moffin, I mean, that guy, when he's locked in, you just can't strike it past him.
You know, you wouldn't think as Rasmus being a melee goalie, but Moffin making him look like one that can hold the iron wall up strong. Is going to let one barrier fall, but even still going to have the ability to prevent the second one from going up. And you can get all the KOs you want, EKC, but if you can't find the barriers, you're not going to be able to score the goal. Barriers will open up here. EKC potential opportunity. X Maximus popped out of Leo Leon, but nxzd 6 KO streak already. We're on the 3rd goal of the game. Goes off the north corner. can't come through the net just yet. Here's the Maelstrom, maybe looking for nxzd. Does have an energy burst here as well. Soren's got one to work with. We'll use it here for the firewall. Sentry just is able to pull it through himself. Sends it straight through everything and everyone. And nxzd used his to stun Muffin.
And that's really, really important. That's going to be the key to EKC's scoring during this game. You need to hit stun Muffin, or else your offense is just too inconsistent to get past RTF enough to win the game. Right now, though, their damage is looking extremely consistent. Of course, it's double brawler with Era, and Leo Leon is taking the brunt of the beating right now. Not long for this world with only 0 evades remaining at the moment.
0 evades, and with a number of KOs that have been picked up so far, Soren even continues to bully Leo with a Maelstrom, and there's the KO finally found. Energy burst online here for Hungry Boy, though. Meg will find the denial. nxzd covering the top side of the pitch. Brawlers passing back and forth. Here's the Oni's play in the corner. Muffin does have the energy burst. Maelstrom still able to keep this one away. How? That was just witchcraft that I saw. What is going on out of Muffin? Somebody had their Wheaties this morning.
Witchcraft is just Muffin. Whether on Kazan, whether on Rasmus, if either of those picks are open, he will get it done. And continuing to make sure the barrier does not fall. Leo Leon trying to replicate nxzd in a tricky play off the center drum. But so far, Soren holding, but not quite getting the strikes to get it out of the corner here. And Muffin, somehow the barrier's still alive.
Maybe caught a lucky break there. Finally, it will fall. Odie's blade out here. Meg can't quite pick up the core. Hungry Boy looking to pop Meg off the map. Low on damage, but nxzd going to collect with the fiery flurry. That'll be the first set on the board for EKC. Probably expected here right off the bat, but we'll see how this Awakenings carousel begins to change things. It is Soren with his pick of the litter here, and a couple of interesting options, namely in the speed category, that can really help him out.
Yeah, especially in the speed category is correct. Stacks on Stacks is the first pick, and of course with Soren not being very damaged at all this game, that makes a lot of sense. Same with the bulk up to deny away the stagger from the opposing team. And it is a scary draft if you're looking at it from an EKC perspective, in the sense that there is no survivability really that was able to be taken by Return to Form. But Return to Form are continuing to scale, and with how well Muffin was defending, if Hungry Boy and Leo can get a little bit of power on themselves, I think that could be very, very good, and we're seeing that right here.
Stacks have been reset, remember, as well, with the prize fighter starting Awakening, where 5 of the players on the pitch took it off rip. It means that every set is a new opportunity, and the snowball can begin to turn the opposite direction. See whether or not that ends up happening, because and maybe that is part of the game plan too with Return to Form, is the amount of damage that was picked up in the last one with heavy impact from Muffin, with Stinger is the pickup on the Aimi, which I feel like you don't often see, but also it can't be too bad. Having those opportunities for KOs is going to be important. They find one KO, they find one goal, and it feels like the momentum is starting to go to their side.
Yep. We'll see how it goes here. But yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, it's so important that Hungry Boy and Leo Leon pick up a little bit more power, and that is really the tipping point here. But with the damage going in, oh, they managed to blow up Meg just in time to prevent the power play. Soren playing in the midfield very, very well, but Leo Leon burning the flip here. And that was a crucial KO to prevent the EKC offense from getting overwhelming there.
Well done, and able to mitigate that. Also, Muffin now on 3 prize fighter stacks, but Hungry Boy taken instantly off of the pitch. nxzd right back up to 4 stacks on that prize fighter. We'll be looking now to collapse on this from the top corner, but with Muffin having this energy burst, it's going to make things very difficult. The recovery drone will get procced. Leo Leon sent back away, and Core finds the goal barrier here. Open net. Death Touch pulls it back into the center base drum. nxzd, good clear angle. Get that Core out of there and alleviate some pressure. There's those 4 prize fighter stacks. nxzd on a tear. 10 KOs. We're not even halfway through set 2 yet. And somehow, Muffin still keeps this core out. Was at the lowest possible point when the energy burst happened and is able to dig it out of the corner. Another KO happens here. Leo Leon finds one for himself, so it's a 2v2 on the pitch now. Soren steps forward, though. There's Bewitching Beam. Oni's Blade in the corner. There's Mirimeg able to find the play.
Hungry Boy and Muffin with an impossible save in the bottom corner, but a very, very uncharacteristic mistake from Muffin. Loses to Soren's Era Beam while trying to accelerate the offense, and that is eventually what seals it with Mirimeg getting in there. And with NxzD, such a KO monster, they're just stacking up these prize fighter stacks over and over and over again. EKC, with NxzD Juliet, they're looking so comfortable.
4 stacks for both prize fighter awakenings on both brawlers for this Era's Kitten Club team. Meanwhile, Muffin is on 3, Leo is on 1, Hungry Boy is on 0. As the game continues to develop, of course, that will be a little less impactful, but even still, it is causing problems here as the goalie's been KO'd this time. Open goal, double power play, and EKC are running this game.
Hey, the prize fighters in their favor, even though earlier on in this point, it was almost looking like RTF had a little bit of control in their hands with the early KO. It's just the consistency of damage coming out from EKC that's really, really impressive. And not just the consistency of putting on damage, they're very, very good at securing the KO itself.
It almost feels like it's not even just, I mean, to this point, right? Not the damage team, but the KO team instead. You don't find 12 KOs if you're trying to play towards damage, especially as a Juliet here this early into the game. Goal barriers traded on both sides of the pitch. NxzD looking for a KO on Leo, but just barely has the survivability. Uses the energy burst to stay alive for a moment. Doesn't have that as the offensive threat. Hungry Boy in the corner, trying to get this one up to Leo Leon, but EKC doing a great job of keeping it away from him. Here's the energy burst. Leo looking for the shot. Soren steps back and is able to cover it with his strike. Oh, great passive play from Mirimeg. Just catches the core, able to find the goal barrier, and now at Leo Leon bullying away Soren, or baiting him away almost to some extent. It is able to clear the net for the goal. Set point both teams in set 2.
Set point right now, and importantly, NxzD very, very low on meter. Leo Leon could capitalize here with a lot of pressure onto the enemy brawler, maybe remove another prize fighter stack, but it's all NxzD. One barrier taken already. Hungry Boy critically low and forced to retreat for an orb, but Mirimeg being chipped out by Hungry Boy, and Leo Leon has a big kill target that could lead to more pressure for RTF.
Mirimeg able to stay alive for now, but the barrier is still going to fall. Soren moved up very far. Now Mirimeg looking to come in for the threat on the north side. There's an unfortunate bell ringer, but Muffin's able to keep it out. Soren fine with losing 1 barrier, maybe less fine with losing 2 as Leo Leon in the X Maximus. Looking for Hungry Boy, who was trying to collapse on the top side, but couldn't find that either. Pendulum Swing is out. NxzD is the one that's taken very low now, but the center bass drum strikes again. Mirimeg finds the angle. Muffin wasn't ready for it, and it's EKC up 2-0.
What a brilliant angle by Mirimeg at the perfect time. It was looking bad for EKC in that point. The tempo was shifting in favor of RTF for a little bit, but Mirimeg with the clutch shot make sure that they're the ones in control of this draft. But as I look at the draft, there's too many good awakenings. I'm looking at that 1-2 punch, yes, but there's also the adrenaline rush that's been so consistent. Unfortunately, Juliet is last pick, but she will get something like the peak performance, or maybe have to settle for the spark of agility here. Yeah, it's not double denied, so that's a little bit of speed. And Deadeye on Rasmus is actually incredibly good, especially with the prize fighter power boost. Muffin's going to be dealing a whole chunk of damage as well here.
Not only prize fighter, but the heavy impact in this picked up in the first draft. Now coupled with the Deadeye, going to mean those death touches will certainly be deadly. See how this one continues to play out. Of course, Leo Leon did pick up that extra damage as well. And it's Mirimeg popped off of the map first. Sent packing in the center bass drum, and now it's overwhelming in the corner here. Soren can't hold on. Hungry Boy is there, and the cyber swipe comes through. Return to form rather quick. First goal here.
Yeah, and this is exactly what they can do now that they've scaled a little bit more, taken some stagger on Hungry Boy. Leo and Hungry Boy are both pretty tanky at the moment, and that stagger advantage, especially against Miri Meg, means that they can focus down this Intaro pretty reliably and try to start a power play. And despite the drone rush falling, and, well, forget about all of that, because if nxzd finds dash punch angles, you don't have to worry about the damage. They're a KO team.
KO team has found yet another. Soren trying to get this one up to nxzd. Able to do so. Miri Meg making an appearance. Muffin sends it down to the bottom side. Finding the clear. Push pop is out. Looking for the score, and Leon in the X Maximus as well. Does have that 1-2 punch, but not able to find a lot of value on the ult that time. Great strike from Leo, actually, keeping possession. Having a dribble, but now carried away in the Maelstrom is Hungry Boy. Double energy burst committed for the play. As the KO is found, the goal goes in once more.
Very, very well played by Miri Meg and nxzd. They saw an angle to KO. They saw the power play that Soren created with the Maelstrom. And then now they're in a very, very commanding spot here, right? With the prize fighter stacks, with the pressure, if they can find these early barriers and make it so that Muffin's life is a little bit harder, that's going to be really good for them. But forced to burn a flip early is Soren.
The other thing, too, right, is X will continue to be a threat the longer the game goes on. So if EKC doesn't win this one in 3 sets, they're providing more opportunities for Leo Leon to get more. They're providing more opportunities for Hungry Boy to get more damage as well. And we find another KO here. Open goal gates for return to form. In the power play opportunity, great pass, and now beautiful play back and forth. Right back over to Hungry Boy, who puts it away.
Yeah, and I really like what Soren did there. Although it was unsuccessful on the defense, went down to try and fake out Leo Leon to try and get the shot to the top side, and ended up winning the mind game. Ended up getting in a strike war with Hungry Boy. Lost the strike war in the end, but those are the types of goalie mind games you have to do. You have to win on era, and if Soren can even get that kind of robbery once, not that kind of robbery of his own barrier, then it's going to be really valuable for EKC.
I mean, when you're playing a character like Era in the goal box, you just have so much limitation in the way that you're able to play. Going for those kinds of mind games in 50-50s is almost what you have to do. And you have to rely on your team to find those kinds of plays where they find the barriers. But oh no! Soren moved up very far, and the core goes rocketing past its return to form. Picking up the set. The extra power from Muffin, of course, going to help out. Muffin didn't even do a lot in the goal box, it felt like. But even still, pick of the litter here up first, and potential denials on this board.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an awkward draft here. I think it's going to be the Might of the Colossus for Muffin. And yeah, that is indeed the case. Additional size, additional power, so valuable on that Rasmus goalie that already has Deadeye and the prize fighter as well. But my eyes are on that Juliet, because Demolitionist is just additional size, right? And this X only left with a spark of leadership. The nxzd is going to be in a lot of control of this game in this next set here. But you always have to watch out for Muffin. That guy's dealing more and more damage as the game progresses.
Absolutely. I haven't seen a lot of incredible death touch plays, but even still, with the amount of power that Muffin has, the core goes skyrocketing off of a pendulum swing or something of the like. Oh! And it has been enough multiple times, but the Maelstrom is going to catch Muffin at an inopportune time. 2v2 on the pitch now. Leo playing with Soren here. Can't do a lot from this position, except continue to try to check the barrier. Soren is still back. And will play a little more defensively this time. nxzd rockets one off of the center base drum. Now beautiful pass. Muffin's ready for it, but then the stun comes through from Miri. First goal on the board again goes to EKC.
Very, very well played by Miri Meg, who's just capitalizing on a lot of these plays. This EKC comp really depends on Miri Meg to be that second force on the offense, and so far has been doing quite well. But perfect timing by return to form out of Theoni's blade. They punish Mirimeg for doing what's usually a pretty safe ability. Soren getting a little fancy with the flick, ends up losing a barrier here, almost two. nxzd helping defend and forced to flip it out of there. Muffin with the save, Muffin with the crazy bounce. Muffin losing a barrier in the end. Looking a little bit like Soren there, I gotta say, but we'll still get it out of the corner.
Able to at least keep the core out for now, but even still, you've got two brawlers in pursuit of the core. nxzd starting to become a threat on the top side here. Now there's the fiery flurry, and that'll be enough to put the goal away. It's game point for EKC.
Game point. That team is looking very, very, very solid at the moment. They have exactly what they need. They have the prize fighter stacks, and they are continuing to snowball this final set. Mirimeg, solo offense in the corner, backed up by the NATO, incredibly low, but still surviving, and that's a barrier taken. It's a countdown till the end of the game for EKC if they can keep this up.
You know, even despite the fact that Mirimeg has 0 prize fighter stacks at the moment, EKC is still able to come up with a lot of these plays, and goes to show, right, that even if they're trying to target someone in particular, the ability to just stay alive and continue to be a player on the pitch is incredibly critical. Here is Theoni's blade, comes out to proc off the recovery drone out of Leo Leon. Energy burst used to get this one core up to the red gold barrier, but it doesn't find its way there, and Soren is able to hold on the opposite side of the pitch as well. Off of the side drum, there's the gold barrier going down. Here's the energy burst. Taking a shot is nxzd. Mirimeg taken rather low again. Soren maybe has an energy burst here, looking to go on the offensive. There it is, bottom corner. Muffin's ready for it with his own burst. And now the core goes around the world, hits the bottom side of the barrier. And it's open goal gates on both sides. Game point for EKC as Mirimeg looks to try to collect, but no, it goes over to Leo Leon and Hungry Boy, who are looking for the pass between one another. Beautiful use of the primaries here to keep possession. Not able to find the goal just yet as nxzd looks to continue to harass. Hasn't gone through just yet. Muffin maybe looking for Leo. Mirimeg's in the way, and these two brawlers playing excellently at the midfield line, keeping the core away from Leo. Just a few less opportunities, and the death touch pulls the core back at an inopportune time. Played so well over the course of that game, but even still wasn't quite enough from Muffin. It's EKC in this double brawler comp that takes game one. But Saya, I think most critically from this game one is that brawler comp probably doesn't work nearly as well if there isn't a start like Prize Fighter off the rip, with just how much momentum EKC was able to build up early.
Yeah, but I think that even without a prize fighter start, it was still very, very playable for EKC with how Mirimeg was getting it done in the midfield, in the offense. And of course, nxzd, right, the star player, got the highlight at the end, using the speed of the death touch from Moff and Koei to aid in that little bit of a flick at the end. It was just brilliant from EKC on the offense. Soren was getting it done on the arrow goalie as well, right? Had a lot of 1v2 moments against Hungry Boy and Leo Leon, despite not being as flashy as Muffin. So it just well played all around, and I think I'm very confident in EKC going into the next game.
Soren, 322 redirects in comparison to Muffin's 222, plus 100 on the redirect mark. Of course, you expect some of that with the Era Maelstrom, but even still, that is an insane number to pull up in comparison. And how about nxzd? 16 KOs in that game alone opened up the door so much for that team and their ability to find some of these goals, because it is a lot harder to defend when you are one down.
Yep. But game two, the map we are heading to for the next match is Ai.Zap. And if you know EKC and you know Ai.Zap, their KO numbers get a little bit crazy. RTF's going to have a bit of trouble, I think. Of course, RTF are no slouches in the KO department either. But that's nxzd.
Yeah. That's Nxzd, who played 16 KOs on a Juliet on Taiko Temple, let alone what he might be able to do here on the application. And with the, especially Saya, Miri May getting added to the mix here means that very likely I feel like we're going to see a very similar double brawler play where the goal is to just KO them. Like usually, right, with Kitsuna, maybe you get a little bit less of that. You're maybe looking towards a Luna that can try to catch someone off, right? There's a decent number of knockback things that the Luna can do. But even still here, I think Mirimeg's role is going to be further amplified coming in as the sub here for EKC.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes for RTF on this map. Of course, the Muffin Rasmus is quite powerful, but the issue is in the draft, if you want to get Muffin on the Rasmus, then you ban Juliet. Well, no, actually, it works out pretty well for RTF because they're gonna be
That works
blue
very
side.
well, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be blue
Yep.
side here, so the draft dynamic is really, really simple for them, I think. But the damage continues as it is a stinger and build different start. But
Oh,
they can opt into a lot of things in the goalie slot. If they ban Juliet, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna ban Juliet, keep it simple, and pick the
yeah.
Rasmus, and everything's gonna be fine.
I mean, or vice versa if Leo really wants to play the Juliet. Um, that is an option you have, but I would imagine that it's got to be one of those two. You almost have to find an answer for these two strikers, despite the fact that there's a decent number of other strikers that are going to be able to be successful, especially with a built different or stinger start. But yeah, this is we'll see which flavor Return to Form elects to do, and then what the response is from EKC, right? We've seen a lot, but when you're trying to play double brawler, I imagine there's going to be a little bit of no, it NxzD telling Miri Meg, no, mom said it was my turn to play Zentaro. So we'll see how that one ends up going.
Yeah, there's also a decent chance they flip it a little bit. Like you mentioned, they just let the Juliet through. And if EKC also allows that through, they first pick Juliet. And if EKC takes away the Rasmus or the Drakkar or whatever, they just pick the Kazan. The only interesting draft outcome I can actually think of right now is if they let Juliet through, they let Rasmus through, they let Kazan through. RTF picks the Juliet, and then EKC picks Rasmus Kazan.
There's no way that happens, right?
There's no way.
There's no way that happens. We cannot be letting Rasmus, Juliet, and Kazan through in the ban phase. But maybe the players know something we don't, Saya.
The more I think about it, the more like interesting it seems for EKC, because during the actual like brawler patch itself before the adjustment, Kazan was being played a ton because he is so compatible with Siphoning One and Stinger, right? He has the most ability uptime in the game. To no one's surprise, he has 2 forms, and he will be able to just chip people down with this awakening. But instead, it is the simple outcome. It is just a Juliet ban. And of course, the VYCE being picked for EKC as well. It is a stinger start, and that is probably going to land on a Soren, but it could be flexed to Mary Meg. He has played the VYCE in the past.
Be interesting for sure to see where this one goes. It's imagine the Rasmus here locked for Muffin in pick 4, and then Estelle for Hungry Boy in pick 5. Very traditional comp for the most part, at least, out of Return to Form. And EKC here, last pick that is yet to appear on my screen. Not me stalling, waiting to see what it is. I'm sure Saya could just blurt it out the second that he sees it.
It is the Kazan,
Okay.
and well, the Kazan does go to EKC, not in the way that I expected. But this is going to be an interesting game. The damage output is really scary from EKC.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried. Of course, the damage is still there from Return to Form in a very sizable way, but I'm a little scared because this KO potential is kind of real coming out of EKC.
It looks very real to me, especially on a built different Stinger start. And in a world where we're playing a lot of Siphoning Wand plus Stinger is going to be very dangerous, especially if it's opted into multiple times. Now, maybe a little less dangerous, of course, if the VYCE is ending up to go goalie, but even still, it's going to be something that you're not just going to be able to easily get around. And the other thing too is that there are, I mean, no Atlas in this draft either at all. So that damage is going to stick around for a little bit.
You know, as Vaughn would say, Kenneth, we're not going to see an hour in Atlas. That's just the reality of it.
I thought it was strong. I thought that was strong.
But yeah.
Showtime comp. All good.
We might see it from Showtime, but only Showtime. But as we load into game, we're seeing a very, very different reality here as Hungry Boy on this Estelle will need to be consistent. Leo Leon will need to survive as they're already chucking abilities at Leo Leon. That guy's dead.
Well, it sure does look like it here early. Goal barrier going to go down here as Return to Form is scrambling on the back end. Meanwhile, Mirimeg also taken rather low. Here's the Oni's Blade. There is the first KO of the pitch. And it's actually against EKC rather than for EKC. Interestingly enough, it's nxzd on the VYCE here, Saya, rather than Soren. Because I know nxzd, of course, historically has played an aimi in the brawler slot very consistently. Now, of course, when you're playing a second brawler, that would be a more traditional comp, all told. And then Soren, of course, no stranger to a VYCE. But actually, sticking with the aimi here for the goal box, I suppose there's a lot of different permutations for a comp like this. But interesting to see the way that this one's played out. EKC thinking that this gives them their best chance.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Of course, with the damage so high on this start, everyone needs to watch out, not just Leo Leon. But yeah, like you mentioned, this nxzd VYCE is going to be interesting because the VYCE lacks the immediate mobility that a lot of nxzd's other picks have. It's a pick that, of course, does have a lot of damage, a lot of kill potential, but it doesn't feel nxzd-esque, I gotta say.
The Thunderstruck doesn't quite hit the same as a Cyber Swipe, right? Not an instant blink, but rather a cast-recast blink to location. Mirimeg, though, still able to get the job done here on very low stagger. Puts it through, and we'll see where the rest of this continues to go. But already the damage trading begins. Mirimeg, Hungry Boy in the sights, evades the crooked leverage, and Hungry Boy will live for now. But if one full combo of the Kazan can do that, imagine seeing multiple KOs happen out of that Kazan.
All right, Mirimeg now with a lot of meter available. Accidentally lets go of the core. Oh no, that could have been a huge offense for EKC, but now Soren and Mirimeg are caught in a difficult defense and they're going to get chipped down so much here, but barely getting the KO is huge. The power play now in the favor of EKC, completely reversed by Moff and Koei. What a clutch pendulum swing.
Everyone gets a turn in the penalty box. We've seen about 4 KOs traded in the last 20 seconds. Welcome to #BrawlerPatch. It's still there, and the damage is still happening. Damage is still damaging, and VYCE gets KO'd here. nxzd taken off the pitch this time. Leo Leon almost in position. Does have to try to evade, and Mirimeg will pull back with a crooked leverage. Beautiful pop-up to find the goal barrier on the other side of the pitch. Now power play opportunity. Maybe it's a quick breakaway. Thunderstruck setup. Able to get saved away. Power cord comes out. nxzd looking for Mirimeg, but can't find that passing lane yet. Firewall Sentry is out. Maddening Descent potential here. Doesn't find it just yet. The Supernova already used out of nxzd. Mirimeg has to evade the Oni's Blade, and now chipped down, almost KO'd. There's the Whiplash to take out the Kazan. Power play opportunity here. Beautiful pass back and forth, and Hungry Boy uses the Crystal Thorns for good measure. Barely finding that south side of the goal.
Yeah, and you gotta watch out because Leo Leon Hungry Boy in particular, it goes for a lot of those angles when you think it's safe. I think Soren also thought, okay, they're just going to pass back and forth a little bit longer, but there was just enough space left on the bottom side of the net to finish off that goal here. Not even using the flip, but if you have a full flip, you got to watch out as well, right? You can't really evade as much. You only get one evade instead of the potential 3.
Speaking of evades, Soren very low. nxzd has to drop back here, use the supernova to try to bully around Leo Leon, and Mirimeg will finish the job with a crooked leverage. Now Mirimeg goes up in the air for a moment to escape as nxzd makes an attempt at stepping forward. Stinger will stagger Mirimeg. Looks like doesn't matter much at the moment. Power play goes wide, and oh no, Moffin can't quite find it. Good coverage from the power cord out of nxzd, and it's a set point that can go both ways.
Yeah, it was a very, very close situation there. Moffin could have had it in a different world, but it does mean that EKC now have a huge chance to step up their damage game at the moment. But as we mentioned a little bit, like RTF is very, very proficient at playing damage themselves. And they find a barrier despite Leo Leon getting staggered, getting taken out. And Moffin barely misses the angle. Oh, that could have been so good for RTF, but instead they need to pray for a miracle in these defensive situations here. And nxzd will find the pocket on the bottom side, mirroring what Hungry Boy did previously.
Able to get this one through, and it's EKC once more going up in the first set. Soren, pick of the litter here. Up first, the adrenaline rush is going to be highly contested. Heavy impact is up there as well. And even the hot shot here could send the core skyrocketing.
Yeah, the heavy impact, of course, the pick, but adrenaline rush is just there. And of course, it'll be taken if it's left up. That is going to be huge for Moffin. Not as strong as the Brawler patch, of course. That thing was the best awakening in the game for a short period of time, but still very, very solid. And with Stagger being picked up for EKC, I think they'll survive a little bit longer.
We'll see if they're able to do just that. Now, getting into this Hungry Boy, taken down to half. Now batting descent to Hungry Boy's stagger bars almost disappeared completely. But who's going to disappear first? But Mirimeg, death touch, pullback. And now Moffin might be on the offensive here with the slight burst of speed out of the adrenaline rush. Coming up to the midfield line, little passing play and return to form. Everyone gets involved in the first goal in set 2.
Leon perfectly slotted into the top corner there. And importantly, right, builds up so much meter as this Centauro will have a flip ready. Might need to spend it on evades first, though, because if you have a full flip in this economy, you're not long for this world.
Not long for this world at all. I don't think anyone on the pitch actually right now is long for this world, Saya, with an amount of damage that's able to come through, and the fact that you can get KO'd through the center as well. As this time it is Leo finding himself sent to the penalty box. nxzd might be soon to follow here. Does have 2 evades at the ready. As Leo Leon in pursuit to the goal. Soren able to keep it out for now, but Leo is still there and nobody was covering him. It's 2 quick goals here for return to form.
We're really seeing them start to scale here. Moffin, if he's able to secure a KO, the adrenaline rush proc is so valuable for this Rasmus. It's just a huge swing in damage in terms of core control as well. And that's a KO for EKC, but they lose a barrier in the process. Hungry Boy has a flip available. Difficult defense for Soren as Hungry Boy stays alive. nxzd can't confirm the KO either. And Moffin with the flip available here, but it's another power play for EKC.
Power play here yet again. Let's see if they're able to get the job done here. Leo Leon very low on energy. Starting to be low on stagger here as well. Mirimeg can't get the job done just yet, but Hungry Boy is in position on the top side. Crystallized Thorns come out, but Soren has the energy burst for the opposite goal barrier. That Muffin Curry has to use the death touch in order to keep the goal away for now. Maintains his own energy burst for the time being. Mounting descent. Target towards Hungry Boy. There is the supernova, and it's able to take out Leo Leon once more. Muffin now no energy burst, but barely any cooldowns at the moment, and only Hungry Boy looking in the backside, but another KO is found with the pendulum swing and piercing shot team up. Power play opportunity now as Leo Leon looks to try to put the goal away. Can't quite just yet. Firewall Sentry's out here. Oni's Blade. Leo doesn't have anyone to work with, though. It's just him versus Soren. Soren probably likes those odds quite a bit. Energy Burst out. Supernova. A little weird play for nxzd to go to himself. Now there's the Thunderstruck, but it's saved away. Mary Meg on the press the point. Can't find the goal either. Good Energy Burst here from Soren, but it's denied by the Crystallized Thorns of Hungry Boy. And we're equal here, exiting set 2.
Quite the unfortunate situation for Soren there. Hungry Boy had all the control, found the goal, and now is the first pick in this draft. And this is an interesting one. There's the prize fighter available, which is definitely scary, but Soren getting it is honestly the least of RTF's worries at the moment. Team player as well picked up by Muffin, and they're kind of daring them to pick the prize fighter, it feels like. I sort of feel like they should have picked up the prize fighter earlier. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit confused.
Feels like it would be a rather strong awakening on this draft, but I suppose it's a double-edged sword too, right? Because you're running the risk of losing all of your stacks very quickly, especially if you become the target. I think it makes more sense maybe for nxzd here with the extra stagger preventing getting KO'd that easily, but have to be real careful here, even still, to maintain those stacks. Meanwhile, Mary Meg getting the work done on the Kazan. Crystallized Thorns out again. Oh no! Weird Chain Lightning bounce sends the core backwards, in addition to I believe that was the Zentaro primary. Hungry Boy credited with the goal as well, so very weird interactions there happening to net that one, but if you return to form, you take it and you move on.
Mary Meg now with the flip available here. Soren as well trying to damage Hungry Boy. It's so much energy being cashed out by EKC. There's a KO on nxzd, the prize fighter lowered, but even still, they have the barrier advantage. Miramac, though, is taking a whole bunch of damage, and they have no evades to speak of.
Goal barrier down now for EKC. Miramac still low. Sent away from Leo Leon, and no energy, as you mentioned. Just one more cooldown can send Miramac flying, but nobody's around for the time being. Crystallized Thorns almost catch him. There's the pendulum swing. And then, but the KO is found on the other side of the pitch as well as Supernova takes out Leo Leon. Power play opportunity. Muffin patiently down to Hungry Boy. Piercing shot as Hungry Boy tries to keep up the pressure here. And now everyone's back on the pitch, but instantly Hungry Boy is sent away again. Power play for EKC this time, but nxzd low on stagger, and gets caught from the Oni's Blade. There goes those prize fighter stacks and a beautiful redirection from Leo Leon. Sets up another set point for a turn to form.
With that Rasmus goalie with Pauldrons, it is just so valuable to have that team player core speed in overtime. Muffin picking that up gives them a core control win condition that we saw in the previous point here. And that's so valuable in a game where you're often either at a striker advantage or a striker disadvantage, like we see here. If the game stalls out to overtime, then RTF have a huge advantage in those points.
They're looking to continue capitalizing on that advantage. Surviving for long enough would be beneficial. Leo Leon, though, getting taken down once more. Power cord. Muffin sent away. Can't defend this barrier. Double energy burst online here for EKC. I imagine those will come out in just a moment, but they don't need it to find the KO against the goalie. Yoni's Blade used on the defensive side. Supernova is out. The glitch pop sends the core back to the EKC side of the pitch. Somewhat maintain possession, but are not able to be very efficient at all. Meanwhile, nxzd continues putting in the work to harass the members of Return to Form and sticks around for the goal. EKC is finally on the board in this set.
Those are the kinds of plays we expect from EKC, but the question is, can they be consistent while doing them? Right now, the answer is a very, very a very, very hesitant maybe, because it is looking difficult on the defense in a lot of these situations. If Leo Leon and Hungry Boy survive for long enough, Soren is often getting overwhelmed by the amount of hits done, by the amount of ranged abilities that Hungry Boy is throwing out. nxzd trying to get in there for the moment, getting a dribble with Meg, but Hungry Boy low and no barrier taken.
No barrier taken just yet. Leo Leon and Hungry Boy both staggered, but they find the barrier nonetheless. Hungry Boy playing more on the defensive side for now, while Leo Leon continues to risk his own life. Finally will be KO'd by Meg. That's a 4 KO streak. It's still 2 energy bursts online for the forwards of EKC. The core goes around the backside of the barrier. Doesn't connect yet. The power play once again falls just short, but Hungry Boy sent away, and the power play extends.
Oh, a little bit of a blunder from Leo Leon. Went in with the Oni's blade when Moffin had already saved it, and that's going to be a huge point for EKC.
Set point here. Break point in this game. Could potentially start seeing things come out of the ensuing Awakenings draft, especially with implications here. Leo Leon low once again. Meg goes for the core instead of the Zentaro, but nxzd take it down low as well. Everyone's trying to bully everyone at the same time. Nearly impossible to make heads or tails of what's going on. Meanwhile, Muffin finds a KO over nxzd. Can't move forward with the open goal. And Meg slips forward to steal the goal away. EKC now with the advantage.
Yep, it's Meg with the MVP. Very, very well deserved. But looking at this draft, I'm a little bit worried for EKC. No, I'm not worried at all. Never mind. There are too many good awakenings for them. There's Deadeye going to be coming up. Specialized training as well. That's going to be taken by the Rasmus, and explosive entrance also available to Night Away from the Centauro, while also providing a lot more reach to nxzd. It's a draft where EKC they get both explosive entrance and Deadeye. They're definitely going to be happy with that. And on the other end, not as scary.
Not as scary. Oh, we got a little bit of extra dash range, a little extra speed. The Death Touch could be problematic, but even still, Death Touch has already been problematic so far. Muffin hasn't really opted to use it for a lot of KOs other than the ones that are all but confirmed already. Strike War, oh my goodness. Muffin just back in time to save his own Strike War loss. Glitch Pop comes up just shy from Soren. Open goal gates on both sides of the pitch. There's a Thunderstruck out. Meg pops up. Now looking potentially here for Leo. Soren sending it away. Now Meg is staggered. Rose Warp as Hungry Boy looks to send the Kazan away. Not able to yet. Great evade timing from Muffin, but it doesn't matter. Soren leaps forward with the energy burst. Able to take the goal for himself. Surprising Muffin and nearly everyone. Puts EKC up ahead here.
Yeah, and those are the types of goals we expect from Soren. Haven't really happened yet so far. He hasn't been the star of the show in this particular series, but that is definitely one where it matters most in the potential final set where EKC can close out this series, and nxzd getting in there, Soren stepping all the way forward, and so much damage onto Leo Leon, who has to drift away, almost KO'd, but the same can be said about nxzd as well. They're both going to need some Swinging Maestro to heal their way through this mid-game of the point.
Leo Leon, dangerous position, doesn't matter. Gets KO'd to the center of the map from the Supernova of nxzd. Meg dangerously low at the moment, but almost doesn't even matter. Still able to stay alive. Recovery drone proc here. Leo closing in on the goal barrier, not able to find it. There's Power Core that goes slightly wide, and Glitch Pop comes out again just as overtime hits. Soren finds a second goal in set 4, and it is match point for EKC.
Yeah, and on this home stretch, I think EKC is really picking up the pace here. They're nimbly navigating this pretty difficult damage game, and Hungry Boy is the one who's taking the most of the damage at the moment. And with Mirimeg so much tankier, Hungry Boy does heal up, and RTF do find something, but overall, I think EKC have found their rhythm.
Certainly found their rhythm, but Leo Leon might be trying to put a stop to that rhythm quickly. The goal barrier opens up. Still looking for the goal itself. Reminder, folks, both teams, of course, want to win here. Although, even if EKC were to win, they have not guaranteed that they will make playoffs. That is how close this league is in the way that it has shaken out so far. Now a 2v2 on the pitch here. Looking again, the death touch comes back from Muffin, now able to step forward into 2v1, and Hungry Boy puts the goal away. So one on the board now for return to form, but an uphill battle from here.
Definitely a little uphill, but they do have a slight energy advantage. Hungry Boy cashing out this flip would be huge here and doesn't get hit by the Thunderstruck, most importantly, but gets comboed almost off the edge. Oh my, that's a dead Hungry Boy. They target the member with the flip immediately, and EKC, they're looking to make this the final point.
Mirimeg finds the double. Muffin once again going to have to work some witchcraft, tries to send it around the backside, but not able to do so. Whiplash will stall out for a moment, but even still, Mirimeg and nxzd both in position. Now their target is Muffin, but Hungry Boy goes down additionally. Oni's blade from Leo Leon trying to do everything in his power to keep this one alive. But the Supernova clears the space. Muffin taken off of the pitch once more, and it's a simple goal from Mirimeg, taking 2 KOs for the road as well. EKC have nearly secured playoffs, but not quite yet. Even still, setting themselves up incredibly well for even a spot on the winner's side with a win here.
The damage team does... Sorry, the KO team does it again. Almost even KOs across the two forwards. It was a dominant performance in the KO department from EKC.
It's a KO team, everybody. And boy, did they deliver. 13 for Mirimeg, 12 for nxzd, 2 for Soren, 27 as a team is light work, so it seems, for this roster. They'll be quite happy with coming away on that victory. Of course, not over for return to form. Still plenty of opportunities for them to find a spot in playoffs. But, of course, going to be a little more difficult to get that done and out of the way. I think the most interesting thing, of course, is that, technically speaking, return to form might not know what will happen between now and next week, because next week's match is currently slated as the 5th match of the day versus Hungry Like Nephew for return to form. So they're going to have to see everyone else play and see whether or not their match will actually matter for their chances to squeak into playoffs. I imagine it likely will, but of course time will tell.
Yep. But with that is EKC taking it over return to form, and we're going to see another important match for playoffs. Every match today and tomorrow is going to be an important one for playoffs. And it's going to be the Bozo Bunch versus Demons Raw. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.